Hi, welcome to Chapter 1 Creating Customer Relationships and Value Through Marketing. Let's begin our conversation today with understanding what is marketing truly. A lot of times, students think that marketing is advertising or sales, and this is mostly because that's what we see as consumers, but marketing goes a lot deeper than that. The fundamental beginnings of marketing start with providing value for customers. If we can provide value, then customers are satisfied. And we really need customers to be satisfied because satisfied customers do two things. Number one, they come back again and they spend more money. And most organizations need that to happen because it is much more expensive to get a new customer in the door than it is to have a return customer come in. So we've got more revenue, less expenses. That means more profit for our organization. Secondly, satisfied customers go and tell other people. Most organizations need that as well because promotion is very, very expensive. But if we have our satisfied customers telling other people about our business, then again, more revenue, less expense, more profitability. Your book's definition follows the AMA's definition, which is the American Marketing Association. They say that marketing is an activity for creating, communicating, delivering, and exchanging offerings that benefit customers, the organization, its stakeholders, and society at large. This is a pretty good definition, and one thing I want you to take note of is that marketing is an activity, and it's an ongoing activity. Lots of things change in the world, and so we need to constantly be engaged in marketing so that we know how to satisfy our customers. What are the main objectives then in marketing? Well, they're twofold. Number one, we are always trying to figure out what people want and they need. And number two, we are trying to figure out a way to satisfy those needs. However, this is way easier said than done. There are between 33,000 to 35,000 new products launched every year here in the United States, but not all of them succeed, meaning they're still on the shelves 2 to 3 years later. How many do you think actually succeed? Let me tell you, only 6%, which means that 94% of new products are not meeting the needs of consumers, are not providing value, and therefore end up folding. So, what is a market? Because I've mentioned it several times. Well, a market is any group of people, prospective customers, who have two main qualities. Number one, they have the desire for your product, and they also have the ability to pay for it. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense for us to be marketing products and services to people who don't have the means to be able to afford them. Should we differentiate between wants and needs? Well, sure. Some things we absolutely need. We need food, we need water, we need somewhere to live. But wants are kind of a gray area. Do I really need my cell phone or do I just want that cell phone? So these things are shaped by our knowledge, our culture, our personality, and what we have access to. From a marketing standpoint, we really don't differentiate that much, but it's kind of interesting to think about. Do marketers or does marketing influence you in terms of what you think you want or need? I would bet your answer is yes, and we'll probably be exploring all semester long about how marketing can influence consumers. Let's talk a little bit about the history of marketing. There are 4 stages, also known as eras in marketing, and it's kind of important to look at this because we gets us to understand why there's such an emphasis on marketing today. The first era is known as the production era, and this happened in the early teens and 20s in the United States, and it was brought about by industrial technology and the assembly line, and it allowed companies to all of a sudden mass manufacture items, which drives the cost down per item. What organizations found pretty quickly, though, is that they had warehouses full of items and no mechanism to actually sell those items, which quickly ushered in the sales era. The sales era was the marketing solution for a lot of organizations that had an overabundance of inventory of products that stemmed from the production era. Sales era was noted by lots of salespeople loading up their cars and persons and sending them out into the world and trying to sell door to door various items. Sales era is interesting because it was hard to sell finished goods when the customer's input wasn't involved in actually creating the good. So, in about the 60s, some brilliant people out there, some businesses, started to listen to their salespeople. Salespeople would come back and say, well, I couldn't sell this vacuum cleaner because it's too loud, or it's too heavy, or it's not purple, and the customers really wanted a purple vacuum cleaner. And these really smart companies started to listen to the salespeople and then started to make products that were going with what the customer had said they wanted. So this made it way easier to sell the products, and that ushered in what's known as a marketing era. We are still in the marketing era to a certain extent, but that marketing era has kind of been beefed up upon now. So we really are listening to customers, but we've also figured out that if we listen to customers and we create customer satisfaction, that's one thing. But if we build a relationship with customer, then that customer comes back over time, and turns out they're also more likely to tell other people about the products. We've taken that even one step further today, and now we're in the social era. And the social era is just noted by the fact that we are in the marketing realm. We are really worried about customer satisfaction. But now we're not just building a relationship where it's one-sided. Now we have the ability to have interactive relationships with our customers. And some customers very much appreciate that. This has brought out the marketing concept, which you definitely need to read about in your book. But it's just this idea that an organization should strive to satisfy customer needs, but also while achieving a goal. And for most organizations, the goal is profit. But we'll talk a little bit about what other kinds of objectives an organization may have as well. Now, this idea of customer relationship management is a really important one in marketing these days. And it's really about the process of building meaningful long-term customer relationships. It's about building connections, and it's doing so in a way that's really carefully coordinated. And a lot of organizations are using information technology to allow them to build better relationships. However, it's also still very difficult to do for some companies, and some companies just completely miss the mark. Another thing that I need to address at this point, two things in particular actually, are in marketing, there's a set of variables that we as marketers can control, meaning we have the ability to make decisions in these areas. And there's also areas that we don't have any control over. Those are called the uncontrollable factors, and we'll talk about those in a second. But let's start with the areas that we can control. The model on your screen is what's known as the 4 Ps model. And the 4 Ps, which is also known as the marketing mix, is the 4 areas that we have the ability to control. So marketers have the ability to make decisions about what products get introduced. Marketers also have the ability to discuss what price they're going to set that product out. Additionally, the third P is place. Where are we going to make that item available? Where is it going to be for sale at? And then lastly, marketers have the ability to control promotion, meaning what kinds of promotion are they going to put out in the world, and where will those forms of promotion be put into the market. Now, the interesting thing, however, is that we don't want to make any decisions in those 4 key areas until we've done a bunch of research. You'll also notice that there's this big, bright C in the middle of the model. Who do you think that is? Right, that's the customer. So we make decisions in these 4 areas, but we do so with the customer in mind, because remember, this is all about customer satisfaction. Now, the uncontrollable factors are the areas in the world that we have no control over. These are often referred to as the marketing environment factors. And they influence consumers, and they influence our organization, and they influence our suppliers as well. And we're going to talk pretty extensively about these areas in chapter 3. So I'm not going to go into great detail right now, but you should know that the 5 key areas that we look at in the areas that are uncontrollable are social, meaning anything to have to do with people; economic, as our economy changes; technology, which also a very quickly moving area; competitive, we have no control over our competitors, but we still need some information there; and last but not least, regulatory, or also known as political. That's it for now. Just wanted to give you that introduction, and we will talk more as we progress further. Thanks.